So let's start with the latest. And for a team, a program that has been hovering in that 7 to 8 range and now has risen up to number 4 to have, in addition, not just come in as a 3-star, nice little program player. Okay, we made this addition today. No, the second rated player in the class, Armando Blount. And for
Oh,
this
he's
to
rated
have come
number
in,
2 in this class?
that's what I'm looking at.
Wow.
Did I mess that up?
That's
Oh,
higher than I thought.
those are out of the letters of intent, which is at 27.
Yeah, so you see how I've been working so hard all darn day.
Yes, letters of intent at 27. And so there are only okay, the math isn't quite coming together. But anyway, signed letters of intent at 27. So they don't have any hard commits that have yet to be signed.
That is correct.
Appear. Okay.
Everyone who is going to sign, well, there is like no one who is committed to Miami who is not signed today. Armando Blount, number 22 overall, number 4 defensive tackle, number 5 in the state of Florida, as per the 247 composite. So, yeah, that was a big get. We can start there. It was the latest one because his ceremony was at 6 p.m. But this is a kid that we've been talking about for a while, and actually not even as long as others. So this is a kid who started at Fort Lauderdale Dillard. He played, because of the proximity from their middle school, you can actually play up on varsity as an 8th grader. So he did that. So he played as an 8th grader, played as a 9th grader next to Nigel Kelly that same year, named like Anton Jackson, the cornerback who signed with Miami, asked out of his NLI to go to Eastern Carolina, chasing his little girlfriend. Chris Johnson, who's on the roster at Miami. All those guys were there. So he had been around that neighborhood. He's from that neighborhood. So like a John Ford previously, you know what I mean? Like all the other guys from Dillard in this recent cycle, he's been around. And like I said, he played opposite Nigel Kelly as a freshman when Kelly was a senior. Nigel Kelly, who was young for his grade and reclassified up. And Blount did this. That was always on the radar for Blount because there had been so many guys who had done the reclassification at Dillard. It was always on the radar for him. I would talk to people, around in the world of recruiting. They're like, yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe not. And I'm like, I'm trying to tell, like, I have a friend whose sister teaches at Dillard. You know what I mean? So, like, Mark, sometimes you're like, well, how do you know thing? My friend's sister teaches at Dillard. That's how I know this thing. So I'm trying to tell you guys, because she teaches a specific core subject that you have to work ahead in. She teaches English. You have to work ahead in English to reclassify. That's how it works. So I'm trying to tell you, people are like, well, we'll see if it. I'm trying to tell you, I don't know everything, but I know this thing. And anyway, Armando Blount, after a couple of years, he transfers down to 95th Street to Miami Central for this year. And it was unknown if he was going to reclassify. They're like, oh, we might have 2 years of Armando Blount. I'm like, you might, or you might get the one. And he's only going to play 3 years of high school football. If that's what happened. Anyway, he was the number 1 recruit in or at his position in the 25 class, next year's class. Reclassifies up, is still a 5-star, commits to Miami, flips to Florida State a little bit down the road. He's even said today, Miami was always in my head, always in my heart, even after I flipped. I know that his mother wanted him at Miami, and he ends up flipping back here on National Signing Day from Florida State to the Hurricanes, making a good choice. I didn't even know this until Manny Navarro tweeted it. This is a kid who's only 16 years old. He doesn't turn 17 until February. And I had to ask a friend, that's the same young chronology. So remember, Nigel Kelly played, he was already 17 by the time that because his birthday's in like September, October. So he started his freshman year at Miami at 17 and then turned 18. Like, through the course of that. Amobi Okoye was the other one, the name that I had to pull from Louisville years ago. Also played defensive tackles, he played defensive line. He was a little bit bigger. He was like 6'3", 280, playing defensive tackle for Louisville. But he got to college at 16 years old, same as Armando Blount, who, again, whose birthday is in February. So he will be 17 when he hits the field. But his entire freshman season will be played as a 17-year-old. He will not be 17 turning 18 as was Nigel E. Kelly. This is a kid, sky's the limit potential, 5-star All-American. Well, I mean, he would be an All-American, but like he reclassified up, so he's probably not even going to play in any All-American games or anything. But yeah, really, really good get. That gives Miami a second 5-star defensive lineman to pair with Justin Scott from St. Ignatius in Chicago, Illinois. Really, really good. And if you look at this haul on the defensive line, just to start there, length and athleticism across the board. Like Armando Blount can play inside, outside. He's a guy who can fashion himself in the way of Ruben Bain, right? 6'3", 250, can play on the outside, also twist and move inside. May even play some inside, defensive tackle. Not going to say he's playing nose guard, but he can probably play inside as well. Then on the out, then you have Justin Scott coming on the defensive line at defensive tackle. Then you have Artavis Blount also at defensive tackle, who's a big man who moves real fast. So you got some dudes like that. Then you got Marquise Lightfoot, Elias Rudolph, Cole McConaughey, who was committed to Louisville, who is the all-time career sack leader in the state of Alabama history. Then you got Booker Pickett, who's going to play both will linebacker and edge rusher, who, like Ruben Bain before him last year, had more than 70 career sacks in 4 varsity seasons. Like, we got dudes to get after the ball on this defensive line. And when we spoke here maybe a couple months ago, I was real trepidatious because the plan up front was last year was offensive line with some defensive linemen mixed in, Ruben Bain, Jaden Wayne, guys like that. Collins Anchapong, 6'7", 260, coming off of a knee injury. You had some defensive linemen, but you really needed to lean on it in 24. And I didn't see it. And I don't know where it came from. I love it, but they figured it out in a big, big way. And yeah, just the icing or the cherry on top with Armando Blount from Florida State. Oh my God, I meant to ask you, did you call like a Paul Davis restoration, or did you go rent a wet dry vac from Home Depot to like mop up all the FSU tears from your previous hour show? Because I just wanted to be sure that everything was cool over there, because I know they were crying.
I got to play this neutral. I got to play neutral state on this. I've got to. What is it? Switzerland? I've got to Switzerland this.
You do have to Switzerland.
So their take is win the football games, win the games on the field. That is their comeback.
Okay, fair. If I were in a similar situation, I'm sure that would be my comeback as well.
Little programming note here. So we're going live right here on Twitter as well. And we had about 150 people on Twitter, and they're finding their way apparently here. So if you want to make comments or questions, you got to find us here on YouTube. So that's just one way for us to reach out and gain some more viewers and make people aware of what we do here each and every Wednesday night at 7:00 Eastern time. But it's National Signing Day, so we appreciate about 400 people total being here between YouTube and Twitter. But to make the questions and comments known to us, please join us on YouTube. Falconer X leading us off as always. Thank you so much, sir, for the super sticker. And coming back with this comment, Flipmas has been very, very good for the U.
Flipmas very, very good. Yeah. It's been a good day. I can't even lie.
Leroy, how do you feel about the defensive line class? What grade do you give?
I really like the defensive line class. I think that Miami set out with a goal in mind to get a deep, diverse, elitely talented group, and did that. I'm going to give it a B+, not an A. Only because I personally, in my charting of the scholarships, would like another pure defensive tackle of the quality of player that we've gotten across the defensive line. I think that the edge rushers that we have are great. I think that the defensive tackles that we have are great. It's only 2 of them, though. Like, if Armando Blount was an inch taller and 30 pounds heavier, if he was 6'4", 280 instead of 6'3", 250, AA+, because I think he has the ability to play inside and outside, but I would like another guy who's the size of an Artavius Jones or a Justin Scott, a pure, like, 3 technique, or, if you have bigger, either a 3 or a 1, a real big interior defensive lineman. That's the only thing for me that's keeping it at a B+. But I could even be talked into an A-, because when your edge rushing group is Marquise Lightfoot, Elias Rudolph, Booker Pickett Jr., Cole McConaughey, and then you throw in a Dalen Russell, who was the Dade County Defensive Player of the Year as a junior in 2022. I'm not as high on him as others are, but if you add him to the list at 6'3", 250, then you have Armando Blount at 6'3", 250 as a 5-star who can play inside and outside. And you know what? I'm actually talking myself into A-. So I'm going to go A-. I'm not giving it a straight A or A+ because of the lack of a third pure interior lineman. But yeah, good question. A-. I really, really like this group.
I am searching around, hunting around, looking at this, trailing this Jeremiah Smith situation. I would not be surprised if he makes another decision, probably in the Miami direction.
I mean, until I see it, I would be surprised. And we talked about it. But the other thing that I said, and I mean, and I've done things like this at recruiting events before, so like I know that it's bold, but I don't care. Had Jeremiah Smith told me to my face, yeah, man, I brought this black bag, I had 2 hats in the bag, I ended up choosing O State, so let me see the Miami hat. What was the design? Did you get a baseball hat with a script M? Was it a different one? Let me see. What kind of hat you got? Let me see it. I would have asked. I would have asked straight up, because it really feels like some wolf tickets. It really does. It feels like, he just, like you. It's easy to say that, right? Yeah, I was so close. I went in the bag and I pulled out the red one, not the green one. I was thinking about it a couple minutes ago. I had both of them up there. Show me the hat then. Can I see it? I'll be really interested to see what design. I'm doing a piece on hat designs and hat science and everything. So I would like to see what kind of Miami hat you had so I could add it to the database. I might, try to finesse it a little bit. But end of the day, I'm asking because I want to see, because I've been doing this too long. I was born at night, but not last night. Like, I don't trust 17, 18-year-old kids at their word with something like that just because they want to make people feel good. But that's me. So I'm not imputing anybody who didn't ask that. And I get that it is a little off color to do that. But like I said, I've done things like that before and they ain't no thing. So I would have definitely said, I was wondering. So let me see what kind of, because matter of fact, I got the baseball script hat right here. Did you have that one? Oh, this was actually a special release. Is it like that? Which one did you have, Jeremiah? Because I would. But hey, again, that's me. But if he chooses to change his mind again and say, you know what, I thought about it, I'm going to be the one. I'm going to blaze the path that has not been taken by a player of my caliber at this position in 20-something years. I'm going to Miami with all my homeboys, including JoJo and Nikar and Chance at the same position in the same class. I'm going, we going, let's ride. I am with that. But we'll see.